computer. רגע, recording
That's
it.
it.
Hi.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome to
Yeah,
tzuzamen. Hi, Tzipi.
Hi, Tzili. Tzuzamen
Hi,
is
Modi.
together. Wait. We have to say what is
it's-
tzuzamen. People don't know what is tzuzamen.
They'll find out.
Tzuzamen is together, and we have today. Oh, and wait. Before we introduce our guest, we do this program because we have to enrich ourselves, right? We cannot just be satisfied with what around us. So we have to go to the horizon. So we went there and we decided that you are the best one to take us.
We need to laugh a little bit, Modi.
Not
That's
just
the
to
main
laugh,
thing.
and to, yes.
But anyway,
So
we have Modi. And you know, we are in Tel Aviv now, Modi. Tzipi is
I know,
here.
it's amazing.
Tzipi
Yes.
is here for 2 months. I came yesterday. We didn't sit like this for 2 months
2
now.
months.
It's the first
Now we
time.
are-
It's
yes.
very exciting.
okay, now
And
just tell him also
and
that
I-
we are from Tel Aviv.
yeah.
We grew up in the same neighborhood, which is Dizengoff Square, Kikar
Yeah.
Dizengoff Square. We grew up there, both of us, so we are the Square girls, whatever.
No,
So we
doesn't
have,
matter.
and we have you, Modi. Tilly, can you tell
Just
us
a
about?
second.
Tell
Wait a
us
second.
about
Modi,
him.
do you know Yiddish, Modi?
Of course.
Yes.
Good to hear his
Because
voice.
yesterday I found out that tzuzamen, which is togetherness, it's in German. And I was told that if you say it in Yiddish, it's tzuzamen.
It's tzizamen or tzuzamen, depending where you're from.
So where
If
are
you're
you
Hungarian, it's tzizamen.
from?
If
so
you're
I'm
from
Hungarian.
Poland, it's
He's
tzuzamen.
Hungarian.
And she, so,
Oh, moja śliczna. So my mother is from Poland.
so she's tzuzamen and I'm tzuzamen. So what do we do now?
I don't know. I don't really
We're
know.
stuck.
Everything is okay.
As long as we are together.
Before we even
Yes.
introduce you, just to tell you everything is fine
You
because
don't
we.
have to introduce Modi. Everybody
No.
knows Modi.
You have
Oh,
to give the
yes.
respect. My mother didn't know, maybe, but anyway, maybe she did. Oh, she did that. But you know that I saw Waiting for Godot in Yiddish in New York.
Oh, really?
Yes, which is fantastic. Zar Kibitzen.
Yeah.
He's coming, he's not coming, he's coming, he's not coming. At the time, Godot is coming. It was unbelievable. And the
A few years ago, do you mind if I talk or is it just you two?
Oh, we forgot.
I wasn't
Right.
sure. You have a guest on. I mean,
You-
I'm sure they've heard your
Modi,
story
Modi,
5,000.
you
Wow,
can-
yeah, okay.
You can talk whenever you want, just break in. We
Yeah,
just
just,
talk.
you know, that
We
we
just
do.
like to chat, that's all.
Yes,
Okay.
we just
So
want
I
to go.
once did a movie called Waiting for Woody Allen.
Wow.
It was
right.
based off of Waiting for Godot. It was two
Yeah.
Hasidic guys in Central Park waiting for Woody Allen. It was very cute. It won the LA Short Film Festival in 2004. But it
It's
was a
brilliant.
takeoff of on Waiting for Godot, but it was Waiting for Woody Allen. It's very funny. Yeah.
But it's
This
the
is-
same theme.
And what happened
Um,
at the end?
What?
What happened at the end?
At the end, he didn't come, and it was kind of a sad movie, but it was played
Oh.
very well. It was the first time I played a Hasidic guy, and I played it very on character. So that was, I guess, why it won the festival. And the other guy I got to play the role with me was he's not an actor or a comedian, but he looks just like Woody Allen. I don't know if you guys do special effects with this, no, but if you did, if you put up a picture of me and him on that, you would see it. Let me see if I can find one that would help.
Let's not special effect that. We can just do an insert, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, an insert, yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So you're waiting for him and you miss it. He never came.
There were two Hasidic guys who wanted to get into movies. And they had a camera, and they were these like Nebuchi guys. And
But you know, the Hasidic guys can do the Messiah because it's exactly like Godot. Nobody shows up. So they have the Jewish version of the Messiah.
Yes.
No, but the Mashiach will show up. It's just not here. Here's the picture. Hold on, let me see if I can find this.
You know,
Hold on, let me see if I can open it. Here's the picture. Look, here's the picture.
Oh wow.
This
Okay.
is so cute.
So that was, yeah.
Very nice.
You know
Very
that
nice.
years
So you're in
ago-
Tel Aviv. Let me take control of this interview because it's going to go nowhere otherwise. So
You're
you're in
right.
Tel Aviv. That's amazing. And you both grew up right by Dizengoff Center.
Yeah.
I guess
Dizengoff
when the
Square.
Agam, when they had that big Agam.
That's right.
Yes,
Wow,
very, very
wow.
nice.
We hated it.
People watching this should know Tel Aviv is absolutely a gorgeous place and has
Unbelievable.
beautiful architecture. If you see the
Yes.
picture behind them, it's a
Right.
Bauhaus.
Yes.
It's a Bauhaus architecture, which is sprinkled all over Tel Aviv, and
All
it's
over Tel
Tel
amazing.
Aviv has, I think, the most Bauhaus building outside of Germany, of course,
Right.
and they won the support of the Bauhaus committee. So all of the buildings of the Bauhaus were no, they redid it, and it's gorgeous
Yeah.
everywhere.
But you know, my father
Renovated,
in
yeah.
Berlin, and the building I grew up, you know, on Square Dizengoff, it is also Bauhaus.
Wow.
So most of the
It's nice.
buildings, yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. But
Yeah, it's amazing when you walk around Tel Aviv. You see these buildings, because I grew up in Tel Aviv. I didn't grow up. I was born in Tel Aviv, but I would go back every summer, vacations. My grandparents lived there throughout. One of my grandparents lived right by
Where?
the hospital where I was born, which is Bet Cholim Hasuta,
Okay.
which
better.
is, yeah,
The older
Yeah.
Suta, Jabotinsky Street.
Yeah.
right, Jabotinsky, exactly. And so they had an apartment there, and my other grandmother was on. First apartment I remember she lived in was on Ishayahu,
Yes.
by Nordo over
Yes,
there,
yes,
and the second one was on Dubnov
Yeah,
by the
oh,
park
oh,
across
Dubnov
from the
is
Bima.
Yeah.
These are
Yeah.
the chocolate people, chocolate. These are the rich people.
We're now at the Hilton Hotel, which is my home in Tel Aviv. So it's
Okay.
right between Jabotinsky and Nordo. So, you know, we're right there.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So your
So when you
family-
walk around Tel Aviv, it's amazing as you see all these old buildings, and like some of them are renovated. So you're walking by and you see this glass and
Yes.
gorgeous and amazing lighting
Yeah.
and all kinds of beautiful, and a parking space and the letter. And then next to it is a building that was from 1948.
Right.
You see, it's like a dump, and it's really strange, but it's a fun city to be in. It's not the most fun city to be in when you're in the summer, but in
But it's
around
okay.
Hanukkah.
It's okay. It's very hot. It's very hot. But you know, now everything is with air conditioning, not like when we grew up and it was like you couldn't breathe, and 3 o'clock in the morning you walked in the street to look for air. You know, so it's much better now.
Right.
But you know,
I remember one summer I stayed. This must have been 1980, 86, 7. And my uncle took my grandmother's apartment, the one on Ishayahu, and he put one of those air conditioning units outside. So it had the split unit,
Yes.
And so it was one of the first ones that was up there. So our apartment had amazing air conditioning, and it was the summer. It was 1,000 degrees. I was in whatever. I was there for the summer, and I was using the air conditioner. But unlike in New York, when you have the zoning laws and where you can put it, he had it outside the window. So one of those massive Mitsubishi, and it was in the neighbor's window. Now it was 1,000 degrees outside. So this was on. We were sleeping because we had nice air conditioning, and the neighbor was screaming because it was too loud.
Like
So I said to the neighbor across the thing, I go, look, it's 1,000 degrees out. If this is off, both of us aren't going to sleep. This is on, at least I'm going to sleep.
Unbelievable.
And
I'm sure they didn't like the
They
story.
didn't like it. So your grandparents were from Poland?
my grandparents were from Russia, Poland,
Okay.
Romania, that whole little area.
We got all
And
of-
they all came right before the war.
Okay.
They all came right before the war. My grandma, I still have the papers of her citizenship papers when she came. It says Palestine and the whole thing. And they came there and they moved to Tel Aviv. And my parents were born in Israel.
Like
wow.
my
And
parents.
so was I. And so was I.
My parents were born in Tel Aviv. Yes.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
You're with Shoroshim because my parents, no, one were born in Berlin and the other one Poland. So I am like an immigrant.
But
child.
you know, I have to tell you a very, very interesting story that has to do with all the Jabotinsky Street and all the streets that are come out from the Hilton Hotel. I had a good friend in New York, Bronca Weintraub. Her husband, they're both deceased. Her husband, Jacob Weintraub, was a very big art dealer who had a very big art gallery in Madison Avenue. He was the art dealer for Henry Moore, for Botero. And she was from the gang of Jabotinsky and Begin. And her husband, Stavsky, that they were all together. They ran away, you know, with the partisans. And they came to Israel. And Stavsky was one of the three that were accused in the murder of Arlozorov.
Okay.
And so they put them in the jail in Jaffa. And Jabotinsky and Begin smuggled them to New York. And then Begin asked him to bring Altalena. And when he brought Altalena, he got killed. When Ben Gurion commanded and Rabin, late Rabin, execute the order to shoot at Altalena so the Israeli army won't be divided, and he got killed. And she was very upset and couldn't come to Israel for a long time. And they begged her to come to Israel, and she was very friendly with Menachem Begin and Kadisha, with all the Likud people. And then eventually when Aliza Begin passed away, Jacob donated a whole garden of sculptures to Asaf HaRofeh Hospital. Anyway, they used to come to Israel and stay at the Hilton, and they were crazy people, and they used to drive everybody nuts upstairs. So they always asked me, Tzili, do me a favor, just come together from New York and cover it because we're going crazy. So one day Bronca says to me, Tzutska, she used to call me Tzutska, how do I need to buy a gift for birthday party? How do I get to Dizengoff? So I said, Arlozorov, you just take from the hotel Arlozorov and you get to Dizengoff. She said, no Arlozorov. I said, okay. So take Ben Gurion. She said, no Ben Gurion, no. And then I said, Jabotinsky, you have Jabotinsky, go with Jabotinsky. She never got to Dizengoff, but it's the only person on earth, this was the history of her life, the 3 streets that come from the Hilton to Dizengoff. It was unbelievable. She never got to Dizengoff. Never got to
So we
Dizengoff.
cannot really get away from our history, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Absolutely not. But I think it's amazing.
You actually, bring a lot of, in a way, history into your mices, into your stories, into your stand-up.
Yeah.
Right? I think so. When I listen to I listen to some of your shows, it really brings up some of the humor that I grew up.
Well, it's observational humor, and it's being observed by a person who is a little bit Israeli like you, a little bit Jewish New Yorker like you, a little bit more like you. So that's why it rings in your it rings to you in a different way that would ring to somebody who's not Jewish from Alabama.
They
would get the joke,
but Israel, Modi?
Huh?
Have you ever performed in Israel?
Sure.
Yeah, of course.
And how did
it was amazing. I performed for what's called the Anglo community.
Okay.
So the Americans that moved, all the Americans that wanted to do Aliyah, and it was so important to them, and to move to Israel. As soon as they find out there's a comedian performing in English, they run. They can't wait to not hear Hebrew. So we do shows, and I've done a Kator, and it's usually Yerushalayim, Bet Shemesh, Modi'in, Tel Aviv, and some Zichron Yaakov, and where Ranana, where all the Americans live.
Yes.
Right.
So and I was supposed to be there last Sukkot. I might be there this Sukkot. And I love performing in Israel. And then a lot of private parties brought me in, people who did some events like an 80th birthday for a grandfather. They brought the whole family in, and the grandfather's a big fan, so they brought me in. And
Israelis are a great audience. They're very active.
The best.
They're very engaged also.
But very engaged.
But you spoke about, you described the Godot in Yiddish in the park, and automatically you had a little bit of Jackie Mason. And yesterday we lost Jackie Mason. And I remember, the headlines in the New York Times. They spoke about you, that you carrying the torch of the Jackie Mason. So now you are the new one.
Yeah, you're the new king, right?
It's a new Alavai, yeah.
The new king. So tell me, are you a Jewish comedian or a comedian who is Jewish?
I am there's many comedians that are Jewish. I'm a Jewish comedian.
Okay, because Seinfeld is not really a Jewish comedian.
No,
right?
There's many comedians that are Jewish, but that's not a part of their. That's not what they don't wear it the way I wear it. They don't. Their observation is not through the Jewish eyes. It's funny. I was having this conversation on another podcast where they said, you know, back in the day in 1984, I believe it was, when Jackie Mason had his Broadway show, which ran for 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
It was, I remember we used to go see it once a month. We used to drive in from Long Island, see it once a month. And when we weren't seeing it, we were listening to it on a cassette tape in the car. We couldn't get enough of it. It was basically, the view of the world through a Jewish man's eyes and Jewish, you know, and now I feel like I'm doing that as well. The view of the world, observational humor through some Jewish, but the Jewish voice has changed. It's no longer the old guy talking like this. I came from the old country.
Yeah.
Now the Jewish voice is a strong Israeli, a Hasidic community that's huge, you know. You have the Sephardic, Ashkenazi, Syrian Jews. You have there's a big there's a different type
So
of a Jewish
many,
voice
so
now.
many, yeah.
Yeah, but do you?
So many, you know, this week I performed for the Syrian community in Deal, and then Saturday night I performed for the West Hampton Chabad, which was an amazing show. It's this little synagogue with thousands of members, not hundreds of members. The show was outside. It was such a great vibe. You know, you'd think it's such rich Jews out in West Hampton, but they have this really humble synagogue, and they love it. You have these multi-billionaires riding a $50 bike from Walmart to the synagogue. Their rabbi is amazing, Eli Popak, and it was such a fun event. But it just shows you the diversity of the Jewish community.
But do you have adaptation by the definition of the community, like the Syrian and the Chabad? Do you do the same or a little bit different?
You know, my motto and the tour I have coming up, I call it know your audience. You have to be able to play to your audience. You know, so you adjust the wording of the material, and this way you can they understand it more.
Is it easier for you to bond with the audience, because in a way your comedy or your material, you care very much about it?
Very much, of course.
You
Yeah.
care. Like, for example, other comedians, they range. I don't know if they care about everything that they are presenting, but in being a Jewish comedian, somehow I don't know how to verbalize it, but it's have to come from really being somebody who really care about the material.
You take it personally.
Yes. It's I do. It's my job. It's my career. It's my passion. It's a calling. So I do take it very, very seriously. And that helps. It helps you do a better job.
But I want to go back to Jackie, with all due respect, because there's a void that got empty now. As the one who's supposed to carry the torch, how do you feel about it?
I can't wait. It's funny. It's really, I was so happy that I had a show the night he died. I was so happy. I found out about an hour and a half before I went on stage. And it was like, first your heart drops.
Right.
And I don't know if you know, I put it in my Instagram, but he came to see me, I think in 2018, he came to see a full show of mine. And
I was there. I saw him. I was there. Yeah.
At Stand Up New York on the Upper West Side.
Yes.
On the Upper West Side.
Yes,
It was.
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of a mental mind? I don't want to say the next word to that.
He loved it.
He loved it. I watched the whole show. I watched him. I was supposed to do a half hour. I did 45 minutes just to see his reaction to my material. And I remember afterwards, Donnie, the guy who owns the club, said to him, Mr. Mason, do you know that the New York Times wrote that Modi is the next Jackie Mason? And he said, but I'm still alive.
Okay. Okay, are you going to use some of
But
his
it was
material?
amazing.
No, you don't use other comedians' materials. You
Oh,
come
But
up
wait,
with
I
wait,
have
original.
to tell you, but I have to tell you something personal, which is bittersweet. You know, Jackie and Leon, my late husband, had a love-hate relations. Leon used to be his lawyer when he was young, and then they fought, and then Leon asked him to leave, and then, you know, he always came on Leon's show, but Leon loved his material, and we heard it nonstop. When Leon was sick and he was in coma, I used to let him listen to many things, things that he would recognize. So, and I always tested him to see what he would recognize more, or, you know, and of course I put all Jackie stuff. And then Leon woke up and I tested him all the time to see how much he's back, how much he's back, how much he's back. And I used to put Jackie stuff, and Leon used to crack, you know, laughing. And then one day he realized it was Jackie. So he says to me, "This is Jackie, shut it off. I don't want to hear it."
Really?
And I said, "Oh, it got much better." You know,
Yeah.
it was
But wait,
hilarious.
you really intrigue me now, because you say that stand-up comics don't take other people's material.
No, you don't.
No,
You
that
don't take other
they're
people's.
stealing,
No.
and they sue each other for that.
You don't
I don't know if you
recognize-
can't really. You can sue. I don't know if you can sue, but it's first of all, you don't want it to ever find out that somebody took your material or you took theirs. You know, there's no originality to it. There's a premise. There's a premise. You can have a premise that's the
Right.
same.
Yes.
Starbucks coffee. So Jackie Mason said it was burnt coffee.
Right.
That was his thing. And then other people have other things at Starbucks, the way they named, how the names are, how the name is written on the side. There's premises, and then there's, you know, the actual the taglines and the punchlines. So you can't.
You don't take material from others. I think that Jackie himself had a problem with Vegas because of a problem like this, and he could never go back there. You cannot take from anybody.
That's really interesting, because you know, because it's really original material. It's like a play.
Yeah,
What I mean
it's
is,
intellectual property.
yeah,
It's intellectual
but
property.
then all people, but you see, but a play, many people recreate it on stage. They don't change the text, but the play.
Yes, but
goes
they pay
around.
for it. But they pay, even if a high school
get the
does, even if
rights
a high
to pay.
school does
That's
Fiddler
right.
on the
Always
Roof,
pay.
they have to pay royalties to.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
Exactly. So
somebody-
it's a different.
So somebody can take your lines and pay royalty. Look what we have here.
No,
They have to ask me.
If you have a play that you want, you have to ask permission, you have to pay, you have to get the rights, you have to get the permission to do it. There's a process of doing it. You cannot just take a sentence from Shakespeare and use it in Hanoch Levin's play.
It's even more than that. You know, when you do a comedy club, you know, at the Comedy Cellar downtown, when you walk in, they take your phone. They take your phone, they put it in a bag, and you can't use it, because if you're sitting there and you're taping material and then you put it on your social media. Let's say somebody tapes a half hour of my comedy, they put it on their YouTube channel, and they're getting you know, the payments from YouTube when it does the commercial. He's taking my material, he's producing a show. It's stealing. It's 100% stealing. So
Yeah. So you know, we always say that when we write or we perform, we would like to take the audience somewhere else. You know, to take them from where they are and move them either to a new idea or to realize a new emotion that they didn't realize they have in them. Is it more effective to reach and take people somewhere else through stand-up or through tragedy? Or do you see any difference?
Well, if they're coming to a comedy club, they're looking to be moved through comedy. If they're going to go see a movie about the Shoah, about the Holocaust, they're going to be looking to be moved through drama and tragedy and horror. So it's,
yeah, but the question, you know, what is more effective? More effective in joining, being able to join the journey of a stand-up comic or a tragic play or any other.
Personally, I prefer it through comedy. Comedy, and that's what I do. So I don't know, you know. It's funny. Every time I talk about something with the Shoah, with the Holocaust, and I mention and I bring it slightly, even a slight mention to it. It's so important. You know, I once did a show in Florida. There were survivors in the audience, and I do this bit. I don't do it anymore, but about flying on Lufthansa. And one of the survivors said to me, you know, it's just so important that you talk about it, especially today. Do you know that, like, I can do material about Nazis or the trains or whatever, and there's people in the audience that don't know what I'm talking about. So if some young person starts to Google it and deep dive into their internet to read about it, that alone is just so important.
Yes.
What do you think about what happened to the Japanese comedian in the Olympics?
What happened? I don't know.
They kicked him out because of old joke about the Holocaust, like from 20.
He was the director of the
ago.
ceremony. He was the director
yeah.
of the whole ceremony.
And he had a
the night
Holocaust
of the
joke?
open-
And 20
Yes.
or 25 years ago, he was joking on the Holocaust, and they kicked him out.
25 years ago?
Now they kicked him out because of what he said 20 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm thinking either they're overprotective or over insensitive, or that 20 years ago, it wasn't the right time, because today when you tell a joke, it's funny, but it's also, you know what to do it, and you're Jewish, you're one of us, so it's different. It's
Correct.
Yeah.
100% correct.
It's
Yes.
like in the family, we make fun of each other. It's very different than from another family, from another country, but they kicked him out.
Wow.
They fired him.
Yes.
I don't know the actual
That happened
details.
2 days ago.
Last week.
Yeah.
Really, I
Let
have
me
to look
tell
that.
you,
I have to look that up. But
Let me tell you another thing. Let me ask you another question. It's a bit, I think, more. So laughing, it's kind of in
Vulnerability.
no.
No.
It's like we laugh. We don't really plan it many times. It's just very natural, very. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So if you come to an audience, I think you have more control on the audience, because laughing is something they don't control many times. It just comes out of you. Is it, you know what I mean? Or it's too vague?
I'm not sure, but
Say it in Hebrew, and he will translate. Say it in Hebrew.
אנחנו פשוט הרבה פעמים צוחקים, וזה פשוט בא, זה בא ספונטני כזה, זה לא משהו שאנחנו controlled. We don't control many times when we start to laugh. We find ourselves laughing and it's almost
Automatic.
yes.
reaction.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So laughter is when a joke has chokhmah.
Yeah.
Chokhmah. What is chokhmah?
Wisdom.
It's a koach shel ma. You have the energy of what? Out of nowhere, something came that you weren't expecting. Oh, look, boom. And you're laughing at it. You know, you're laughing at it.
Involuntary almost.
How
Almost
long it take
involuntary.
Modi, how long it take you to sense the audience, to know if you're going to have it like easy, or it's going to be so hard to make these people laugh? How long it takes you?
In 2 seconds, but I never have a fear of the audience. The audience, whatever it is, I'm ready for them.
Right.
It's the situation around it. So you guys came to see me at Caroline's Comedy Club.
Right.
It's a comedy club. People are coming in there. They know what they're coming for.
Right.
You're in the comedian's home.
Mhm.
You're in the comedian's home. You saw me do a show one time at this event for Let There Be Laughter for the Museum of
Yeah, Anu, it's better. The Bet HaTfutzot, it's called Anu.
Bet HaTfutzot. And so now it's a neutral experience. Okay.
But
It's a neutral experience. I'm there, you're there, the place is there. Now there's the element of food. Food
Right.
is being served. There's music. They have a masach, they have a screen with all kinds of crap coming back and forth. People are trying to network and meet and go and come. And now my fear is that they're not going to be focused when the show starts. Sometimes the woman can go, hi, everybody, here's Modi. And everybody's standing by a different table. No one's near their seat. And now go do comedy. You can't. So you want to
Wow,
make
that's
sure there's
so
sound, there's lights. This is what makes me nervous, not the audience. Whatever the audience is, as long as they're focused, I will find something to make them laugh. But if the situation doesn't allow for it,
Yeah.
then you can't do it. It's not a singer. A singer can go up and just start singing. If they're listening, great. If not, not. But
Right.
a comedian has to have a rapport with them. So that's when I get nervous, and that's when I get when there's a chance it won't work.
Are you funny at home?
No, not really. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
I get lines, and if, by the way, if you see a person who calls themselves a comedian and they're funny off stage, like they're constantly on, I promise you, on stage they won't be funny.
Very interesting.
Because I know many depressed guys that are very funny at home. And
Oh,
you know, so yeah.
Well, I grew in a family or in a culture when it was not jokes, it was what we call krächzen. Krächzen is complaining all the time. You ask a person, how are you? And they give you
It's
a
like
list.
veg.
They give you a list of their hemorrhage,
Hemorrhoids.
hemorrhage and their this and their that. They were krächzen all the time. So in a way, we grew in synagogues which didn't have, those beautiful images like in a church. In the house, we didn't have many jokes. Although when you think about it, or people listen to you, there are a lot of funny elements about, Jewish homes.
well, I mean, look, you came from a background of a Yeki Polish background. I doubt you had any laughter in your growing up.
Okay, yes, you're right. The only thing I heard is
But when you krächzen, it could be done funny.
Right.
So in other words, someone asks somebody else, how do you feel? And he answers, good, I don't feel.
Oh, okay.
You understand? So that's what you
It
get the
sounds
krächzen.
different when it's home, and it sounds different when you're in a comedy club. Because I
Right.
know that comedy is one of the toughest things to put together. It's really like mathematics. You have to build it so carefully, and you have to time it so carefully.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can go home and make fun of everything, but it's tiring. And some people just have it, mainly the suffering people.
Yeah, but that I teach at NYU, and one of the things that we are asked.
What do you teach at NYU?
I'm in the film, undergraduate film and television, but also in the Department of Writing.
Oh, at the Tisch school?
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing.
Right. Yeah, it is. But we are asked to look for students that have some skill for comedy, because it's the hardest thing to find.
Yes.
And
then it becomes even worse. Let me tell you what happens. So they tell students of film and they tell actors and actresses, it'd be really good on your resume if you put in stand-up, that you did stand-up and you have comedy. So they go out and they try to do it and they don't do it. They don't have it, and it's LA, every open mic is all actresses and actors who their agent told them, do stand-up so we can put that on your resume. This way, when they get a script, they can. This way, when they get a script, they can punch it up. But it never works. You have it or you don't have it.
You're right.
It's a tipus. It's a tipus. Yes. You can't learn it. You have to tipus.
Yeah. And we really push hard for that. But by the way, just going back for a minute, I just recall that the only funny moment that I remember from my mother, in a way, that she was always telling about her sister-in-law, the wife of her brother, that when she makes love, she closes her eyes so she would not see her husband enjoying it. That was the only, and my mother was really so, elevated by this whatever joke. But otherwise, I don't know if you grew up in a funny house, but I didn't. So.
But what's amazing is that your mother associated the joke with somebody. So if you do a joke like this, how come a Polish woman, Polania, why does she make love with her eyes closed? So she shouldn't see her husband enjoy. But when you say your aunt, this woman is so miserable, now you've associated with somebody, it makes it funnier. So give your mother a little credit that she at least did that.
I don't think she was aware.
I don't know if you remember Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers used to use,
can we talk here?
What was the name of the woman she had?
Can we talk here? Wait.
No, she had this imaginary woman. Like I have Stacy with Nir, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
She
Yeah.
had this woman, I forgot what the name was, like uh Brenda Abramowitz. Oh, she's so fat. When she looks at the microwave, she yells, hurry, hurry, you know, but she associated with somebody. Instead of just saying somebody's
Yes.
so fat, yells, hurry, hurry
Yes.
to the microwave.
Right.
So at least your mom had some type of comedic timing. So that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
Right.
actually she did. Actually she did.
Tell us about Nir, the character you created at the Corona.
It was during the pandemic, I'm home and I wasn't doing shows and I really was never on top of my social media. So I'm home and we decided to do and I was doing Zoom shows, a lot of Zoom shows, which were, it took a minute to figure them out and then they became amazing. And I did some amazing Zoom shows for organizations in London, South Africa, Australia, Jews all over. It was out of nowhere. I'm able to perform for them. And once you figure out how to do it right, it's very good. So I had the studio set up and the Yoeli character, the you know, the where is he? The
Yes.
Hasidic
sure.
character.
Yeah, right, right.
The Hasidic character.
Yes.
He came up. I had all the levush, all the outfit, and
Thank you.
the Hasidim were getting such a bad rap. You know, there was that. First of all, they weren't quarantining because they couldn't, and then they weren't. There was that the movie came out unorthodox,
Right.
showing rape
Beautiful.
and bad sex and just everything, anything horrible that just showed. So I went on and I just had fun. I made announcements, letting you know what to do. And then I did some movie reviews and it was good. And then one day we were in my friend's house in Great Neck and I was wearing the hat and I was sitting with the shirt and I complained about the hummus like a real Israeli. And my friend goes, that's the character. And so that was it. Nir is your Israeli that came to America, made some money, and now he knows everything. He knows there's nothing he doesn't know. It
Right.
could be a Russian, it could be a Greek, it could be an
No
Italian.
doubt.
It's anybody that came to this country, made $6, and now they're on wine, on cars, on food, on furniture, on houses, on stock market. There's nothing he doesn't know. And that's how the character came.
That's a
Well,
great
the
character.
Israelis, just to tell everybody, when the Israelis come to New York, in 2 minutes, they figure out everything. They know everything better than the Americans. They explain you all about America and they know nothing.
Right.
And just, it's like they create a reality of their own inside the American reality. And it's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, you have a podcast?
You're going
So
to
it's
have
funny. You guys are so what's funny is today at 3 o'clock, I'm filming my first episode of my podcast.
Oh, wow,
We have a
Mazel tov.
producer, we have the music, we have the studio, we have
You have a
everything all set
sponsor?
up.
You have a sponsor?
Not yet. We're doing the first one, and then I'm sure there'll be plenty. I get requests
I'm
all the time
sure.
for the
I'm
craziest
sure.
stuff, and we do. And so we're taping today, my first one at 3 o'clock. It's called "And Here's Modi."
Okay.
That's the podcast, and
How often you're going to do it?
well, we're starting today. We have 10 guests that are going to be lined up, and we'll start to release them. And
Also,
I wasn't always a big fan of podcasts, but lately I was doing a lot of them, and they were going very well.
But
And,
podcasts are very strong now, and I think
Yes.
that this is the next thing, you know, that everybody would podcast everybody. Whether
If you think about it, your late husband, Zichrono Livracha, he was ahead of that trend.
yes,
His show, I don't know if I was on the show or I met with him regarding the show, or he hired me for a show. I was in his office once,
yeah,
you know, and it's the huge building that he owns.
yeah,
It's his building. The entrance to this, to that. I remember it very clearly. Sharon brought me up there, a woman named
Right.
Sharon.
yes.
And I sat with him and we were ready to hear about whatever and all he wanted to do was talk about his show. And he said, it's the #1 cable show if you only in the demographics of New York and 3:30 in that time slot, and when the moon is over the sun, and then I'm the #1. He had a way to fadre the numbers to make it that he's the #1.
True.
In his head, he was the Bill O'Reilly of whatever he was. And he was way ahead of the trend, way ahead.
And everybody wanted to come
Well,
to the show.
in his head, it was bigger than anything with everybody, but it was true.
And it was his passion. You can tell he didn't want to talk about real estate. He didn't want to talk about. He wanted to talk about his show and how important it is. And
true.
So you're going to cover different subjects, like different kind of areas in your postcard.
Of course, more or less things that again, it's bringing the observational humor into the regular conversation through people. So the first guest I have is my rabbi, who now people will learn through me. And of course, everything in funny. My biggest complaint with podcasts, especially with comedians, they all of a sudden try to give you their vision of the world and how things should be. Relax. You're a comedian. Make fun, make jokes, and bring laughter. Don't give us the political arena and what should be and what shouldn't. No one cares. You're not a professor at the Kennedy Center. You're a comedian that tells jokes at night. So focus on that. And don't tell us what the political and he's this and they should do that and the Senate didn't. I don't care.
It's just another platform of performing, and it's wonderful. And it can reach everybody, especially in the traffic. They can sit in the car, they can have fun and not get nervous over the traffic. I think it's great.
So I never got it. I never understood the whole podcast thing. And now, and especially, I drive. I love my music. I listen to music, and when I work out at the gym, I listen to music. If I'm home, I can't imagine putting on a conversation of two people that I don't care either one of their opinion. You understand? So why would I put that into my head? But then I began to listen. You find the cadence that they have, and there's people, and it's obviously people are listening to it. They want that's in their head a little bit.
They agree to go along with you and make fun with you and not take it seriously.
But it's also different from what they hear, which is so stressful, like on the news or the shows. There is not so much humor. On the regular.
No, the news is the most toxic thing in the world.
That's right.
I don't allow that in the house.
It's poison.
I don't allow that in the house.
Oh, wow.
And
I don't listen to this either.
I'm addicted.
No, it's a bad addiction, and you should lose it. It's a very bad addiction, and you should lose it. The news is so toxic. First of all, news and all. I watch television before I go to bed. So I need to have something calm. I can't watch Fauda and then go to bed. You can't watch something like that. I watch RuPaul's Drag Race. Do you know how much fun that is to watch? And it's numb. Your brain's numb, and you can go to bed. To watch Fauda, and they're shooting, and they kidnapped him, and the doors are slamming, and I have surround sound. It's too much. The news is horrible. The news, I see the news. I see the news like a television series. Okay? So when the pandemic began, I turned the TV off completely. Obviously, I would see headlines on my computer or the phone. And if I had something I had to read, I would read it. But to have that on the screen, not only that, it's so toxic. And then it's in your house and it's in your walls. Right. And so during the pandemic, I had no news. People will call me up. Oh my God, how's it going in New York? Are you okay? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm very well. I hope you are too. Goodbye. Then there's parts of a TV. Then there's seasons I like to watch. The election was fun.
Right.
And you have Fox and you have CNN and you see that. And that's the comedy. If you flip back and forth between those two, that's comedy.
I do it all the time.
And then I'll tell you one thing. After I do watch a season of something, like I'll watch the Insurrection was fun. That was a good season on the show. I watched that, but afterwards, I sage the house. I sage the house because all that energy is in the walls. Not only that, the commercials. Do
Yes.
you have cancer? Does your
I have
your
to go-
bladder not work?
I
Where are
can
you
do it.
treating your hemorrhoids? Does this your what's it called? That always this psoriasis. How's your psoriasis?
Yes.
All of that is in your house. Do you know how toxic that is? These words, cancer,
Right.
psoriasis,
Yeah.
bladder problems. You can't have that in the house. You
I have to
don't
mute
watch
the
the
television.
news.
My
It's
husband
very
is
bad.
sick. Right, but tell me something. So how could you contain in your observational talent Trump?
What do you mean contain?
How could you, it was 4 years,
Yeah,
how?
I didn't. It was 4 years. And doesn't mean I have to watch the news.
Right.
The headline:
As a
Trump went
character.
to this and this and that. Okay, the news. If you think about it, it's not the news. It's not the news. Back in the day, you see, you and I are a little bit older than the younger people. So the news to us used to be 10 o'clock or 11. You put the news on, and it was news.
Yes.
They told you what
Right.
happened today.
Right.
Donald Trump met with the prime minister of Yehupitz. Okay, so you found out
Yeah.
today. He tweets, "I'm meeting with the president of Yehupitz now."
Yes.
You don't need them to tell you.
Right.
But so what does the news do? They put on 3 people, and each one gives you their opinion. Now, their opinions in your house,
Right.
making your energy, and you're thinking he's an idiot, she's an idiot. Why would you listen to him? And now all of that energy is in your life. What do you need that for?
24/7.
24/7.
And they think,
Horrible.
but they think that they are the news, and they basically create so much unnecessary noise. It's disgusting.
Horrible.
Stand-up
Disgusting.
comedy is actually a mission, a mitzvah.
100%.
Unbelievable.
100%.
Unbelievable. It's needed more than ever, just because what you say. Because we are poisonous from
Poisoned.
all sides, and then you come.
You
And
know,
you talk about the floss. Did you hear him talking about the dental floss that the religious Hasidic put in Shabbos? How do you call it?
The Eruv.
No. They put the chut Shabbat.
Yeah, קוראים לזה עירוב.
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 Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it's a floss, like dental
the
floss.
dental floss. They use the
It
dental
looks like a
floss.
dental. It's a string that goes around the neighborhood.
Right.
And
Right,
now it has an eruv. Now it's there's a perimeter and you
right.
can carry.
You know
Right.
that Tzipi and I have a friend that she wakes up in the morning, she sits in the bed and she's laughing. She pushes herself to laugh
Yes.
till it just happens naturally, and that's how she starts the day. And it brings all her energy, all her organs to life, and that's how she starts the day,
Yeah, but
with
there is-
laughing.
yeah.
And this is a great medicine. It's a
The
great
best.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you're a lucky man. You
chemically,
enjoy.
if you when they examine the brain,
Right.
the adrenaline and all that stuff, it's super important.
We had a friend, Zion. He was a Polish psychologist. He was very famous, and he was the first one who came up with a study about what's laughing doing to your brain.
Right.
It was like 40 years ago, maybe
Yeah.
not so many years ago. But anyway, you should be very proud of yourself, your life.
He is.
I don't know if proud is the word. I'm in appreciation. I'm in gratitude that this is where my life went, and this is what I do, and there's success in it, and I can bond with people on levels that other people can't. And
Right.
Yeah, but you know
That's-
what? I wonder, maybe we need another program with you. It will be more serious in a way, because
how much more serious was this?
This is very serious. This is very serious.
yeah, but you
This
know,
is
but
very serious.
we
Yeah.
need for somebody like you, if you don't mind to take the task, to give us tools, like 2 Israelis like us. We are, let me finish. We are absolutely terrible Israelis in terms of our commitment to the country.
First of all, we're not terrible, and then
We are
Tzipi
so
likes-
Israelis, like
No.
we are,
No.
talk for yourself.
No.
I went through a socialization. I mean, you cannot imagine, I cannot be anywhere else, actually. I'm also only breathing here. But then I look around, and what I see, it's hard to laugh, what happens.
Because you're watching the news all day long, so that's why it's hard for you to
That's right.
laugh.
We're not terrible.
Stop watching the news.
And Tzipi likes to give everybody's homework all the time. She gives jobs to everybody instead of just taking care of herself. But anyway, Modi, we don't want to hold your
But
time
anyway, I
too
just
long.
threw your gloves. You have to give me tools to be able to laugh at what I see. It's not laughing actually. You don't laugh. It's really what you call it, observational. Are you saying?
Observational humor. Yeah.
Yeah. We should
All
all
we want
develop
from
it.
you is to keep making us laugh. And good
And
luck
that
with
you'll
the
have.
podcast.
And thank you for
right?
coming.
And
Wait.
we'll talk to you.
My
and-
pleasure. I'm so happy to
Have a-
do it, and you guys are amazing too. And I did a show for Tzili for I
we
thought what
did
was
for
that?
Kishorit.
It was the most
Kishorit.
amazing thing. The videos and
Yeah.
for
This
these
was Kishorit. It's a place. for
Kishorit,
people with
Kishorit.
disabilities. And Kishorit.
Yeah.
And
Kishorit,
Modi
okay.
came and they said 1 year we want to laugh, not to cry. And Modi came
Wonderful.
to, yeah.
So
It
we
was,
have not
it was-
only to thank him, but also to the people who came to listen to us every week.
We thank everybody.
Everybody
See you
who
next
came.
week. Modi?
So I have a tour coming up, and information is mostly on my Instagram, and that's Modi_live on Instagram. ModiLive.com is my website. Sign up for the newsletter. You'll find out advanced sales for tickets. The first tour is coming around. It's going to be in Chicago, Florida,
Wow.
Chicago, Atlanta, Florida, and there's going to be one in Long Island. There's a bunch of dates coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll see you all there. And thank you all very, very
And
much.
listen to the podcast.
Good luck.
And the
Good luck
podcast,
with the podcast, man.
and
Come on.
Here's Modi will also be on
Here's Modi,
Instagram
the
and on
Podcast.
Good.
Yep.
Right. We are cheerleaders.
Okay.
Yofi.
Bye, Modi.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.